Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Monday, February 24th. James Gladstone's introductory press conference is in the books. Got to sit down with James Gladstone, Shad Khan, Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, and Mark Lamping, all on the dais at once, all sitting up at the tables there together, answering questions. Open it up with a statement from Shad Khan. Then they open it up to James Gladstone, who just came off very genuine. His family was sitting right in front of me, and seems like a wonderful background that he comes from a personal standpoint, and then obviously where he came from professionally. And then questions and answers from James Gladstone, and then open it up to the rest of the contingent up there from the Jaguars. Obviously, Jaguars owner Shad Khan, James Gladstone, the general manager, Liam Cohen, the Jaguars head coach, Tony Baselli, the Jaguars EVP, Tony Khan, and Mark Lamping, the Jaguars president. So I thought that this was a refreshing press conference. And I think that it will continue to be refreshing. Not to go back, not to rehash, not to live in the past. I think moving forward, you will have more openness and more willingness. And, James Gladstone said as much today. They will be as open and willing to help the media do their job as they can without giving up any sort of strategic or football advantage, right? So I think that you will have more openness, more connective tissue between the front office, the football organization, and the fans, and the link between those two is the media, right? So I think that's great. Obviously, what fans care about the most, and what they should care about the most, is wins and losses, and that's what Tony Baselli talked about. They can all talk as much as they want up there about collaboration, about all these different things. They have to go out and prove it. They have to go out and do it every day. And ultimately, everything they do between now and the beginning of September, when the season kicks off, it has to lead to wins. If it doesn't, all the talk in the world doesn't matter, right? But today was a day for talk. It absolutely was. And just first, I would like the resumes of Liam Cohen and James Gladstone are incredibly impressive. Now, obviously, neither has been a head coach or a GM before, respectively, but they are incredibly impressive. Liam Cohen, what he did with the Buccaneers, with the Rams, with the Kentucky Wildcats, the way he has been around football his whole life, the way he has adjusted to different situations, different injuries, different guys excelling in different ways, and being able to adjust on the fly, I think that aligns very well with what James Gladstone's resume has on it, being able to completely flip the script on what the Rams were going to be. They had this era of a super team era, right? And they had all these stars. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, the list goes on and on. They had to shift to being a team that wins through young players they draft, maybe trying to take advantage of the NFL going into all these cover two shells, not having two safeties in the box. All right, maybe we need to become a gap power run team, get some big uglies on the interior of the offensive line, and jam it down people's throats. And I'm not saying that's what the Jaguars are going to do offensively here in Jacksonville, but the ability to pivot, losing Aaron Donald, losing all the veteran talent they had up front. What did they do? Kobe Turner, if you follow the NFL at a high level, Kobe Turner, one of the best young interior defensive linemen in football. Byron Young, tremendously talented edge player. Neither of those guys were first-round picks. Then you get to last year, Jared Verse somehow fell to them. They jump at the opportunity to get him on their football team. And then not only do they do that, they double down and go get Braden Fisk as well. So you consistently see the the St. Louis Rams, Los Angeles Rams, being able to adapt and adjust, innovate, get creative, you're seeing the same exact thing from Liam Cohen and his ability to coach. And I think you're going to see those two, who did work with each other for 4 years in Los Angeles, be able to do that together here in Jacksonville with Tony Baselli helping them out. And as Baselli said, it's his job and it's James Gladstone's job to best facilitate, help the coaches to help the players to win football games, to win as many games as they possibly can. So they did talk about collaboration and alignment. I think that's going to be easy, and it's not like there's not going to be disagreements. There are. But I think the key to the collaboration and alignment piece of it that they talk about, that is critical for a winning organization, when they make decisions, those will be decisions that all three of the big time leaders, the football leadership team, Tony Baselli, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, that all three agree on. If they're going to release a player, if they're going to extend a player, if they're going to add a player in free agency, if they're going to draft a player, the players they are most likely to make moves on are players that everyone agrees about the priority of them. Again, whether that be free agency, the draft, players on their own roster, it's going to be a collaborative effort in terms of if they're going to go draft this player, everybody needs to agree that they feel good about this player. And that's checks and balances. That's not just GM loves X player, that's who they're going to take with the first overall pick. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's not just head coach is mad about this, so this player is going to get benched. No, that's not how it's going to work in Jacksonville anymore. I think it's going to be collaborative. I think there's going to be alignment. I think there's going to be transparency. I'm really excited for it. Again, what type of players they will add, James Gladstone had a good quote about the players, and I'll pull it up so I don't butcher it. But he talked about intangibles. We will prioritize people and players that are intangibly rich. And by doing so, they will elevate our ecosystem by being nothing more than themselves. And that's another thing, being yourself. He talked about how Les Snead and company in Los Angeles, Les Snead, the Rams general manager, kind of facilitated an environment, a culture where everyone can be themselves. Les Snead is always unapologetically himself, and he expects others to be that as well. I think the Jaguars are going to promote that sort of idea within that building as well. But you talk about intangibly rich. Intangibles. They are critical to a football team, but so are tangibles. And I think that's where the alignment and the collaboration needs to come in when it comes to adding players in the draft. It's players that the entire football leadership group agrees on. That's going to be huge. And based on what I've seen from the Rams, from James Gladstone directly having a major impact on the last couple of drafts, it's a lot of players that, are intangibly rich in terms of like they bring their own personality. They are passionate about the game of football, about winning at the highest level, and they work hard, and they are talented football players. They know how to get the job done on the football field, between the lines, in between the whistles. And I know that sounds like a lot of fluff, a lot of coach talk, but look at the guys they have added, as we just mentioned. They're incredibly impressive, and they fit what they're trying to do. Kyron Williams and our kid from Michigan, Blake Corum, very similar types of running backs that the Rams added to fit their rushing game. Talk about the interior guys they have added on the offensive line over the last couple of years. They are big. They are physical. They are maulers. They've prioritized that. And again, I'm not saying that's what the Jaguars are going to do. I'm saying whatever you're trying to do, whatever your goal is for your football team, you need to be able to have the alignment to be able to accomplish that. And I think where these guys come from is a shining example of how to get that done. So I'm really excited about it. We're going to continue talking about this opening press conference for James Gladstone and, obviously the rest of the Jaguars football leadership unit. But first, got to remind you all about Underdog Fantasy this basketball season. It's NBA season. When your favorite stars score buckets, we are alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward. Signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DuvalDaily. All one word. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick and entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Tonight, as we talked about before, I'm taking Nugget star Nikola Jokic. Maybe you've heard of him. MVP. To score higher than 27.5 points against the Pacers. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 90 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 90 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus matches in Arizona and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So continuing on with this press conference, and you can watch the whole thing on Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. I'm trying to get a sense of what these people really are bringing. And I do think the genuine ability to be yourself is going to be huge. James Gladstone's bringing that from LA. Liam Cohen is bringing that from LA. I think Tony Baselli also will fall right in line with that as well. Tony Baselli is unapologetically himself. If you've been around him or if you've listened to him on Jaguars Happy Hour, 1010XL, whatever it is, right? Tony Baselli is not afraid to be himself. And that's a good thing. That's what the Jaguars need. So also, it feels like, and we've seen this based on interviews and other things before, it feels like James Gladstone can command a room at a high level. He's articulate. I think that the way he speaks, the style in which he speaks, is going to resonate with the people that are working under him. And again, we know he is adaptable and creative. And Shad Khan has talked about that. You've seen it throughout the Rams last few years. And you've seen it with Liam Cohen too. So those are huge things. Really excited that Tony Baselli is a huge part of this thing. I think there's no one more passionate about the Jaguars than Tony Baselli. I think he's an incredibly smart person. I think that this is a group that's going to prioritize winning the trenches. And I think winning the trenches is going to help you win more football games and potentially compete for a Super Bowl title with Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback if you can win the trenches. Because look, it doesn't matter who's running routes out there. If they have time to get open and Trevor Lawrence has time to find them, you're in a good spot. And now I do think you're going to need to add to the running back room, but you knock that interior offensive line down, make that thing a pillar of this organization. Whoever's back there at running back is going to have an awesome opportunity. Right? And I think that this group, Tony Baselli, a former offensive lineman, Hall of Fame, gold jacket offensive lineman, Liam Cohen, who has seen the effects of offensive line play throughout his career, especially last year in Tampa, and got that running game going. They were like the 31st or 32nd ranked rushing offense the year before Liam Cohen got there. I think they were top 5 last year. I think that says a lot. So yeah, that's awesome. And another awesome part of this, Shad Khan, as the Jaguars owner, is going to give them the resources that they need. He is. He consistently has done that. He's not going to meddle, but if he has hired the right people, which I think he has, remains to be seen. They've got to go out there and prove it. As I said, as Tony Baselli said, they have to prove it with wins and losses, but Shad Khan will give them all the resources they need to most effectively manage the salary cap, to most effectively put together a staff, a front office. And there's not going to be any changes made to the front office staff in all likelihood, James Gladstone said, until after the draft, which would be, after free agency and the draft, after the meaty part of roster construction this offseason. But Shad's going to do everything he can to support them, which I think is huge and has been an underrated aspect of Shad Khan's tenure as the Jaguars owner. He has missed on the people a lot, but he has never, ever skimped on giving them the resources they need to succeed. Could potentially find out, Mark Lamping was there. He joked around that he was bringing up the average age of the table, but he said you could potentially find out in May after those owners meetings where the Jags will be playing in 2027. They're probably going to submit to the league their plan within 30 days, whether it's going to be Orlando, Gainesville, whatever it is. And then they'll go back and forth with the league, and if everything happens in the right time frame, that can be potentially voted on at the team league meetings in May, and we could find out, pretty much right then and there where the Jaguars will be playing in 2027 while their Stadium of the Future is getting wrapped up, the construction, right? I did ask about free agency, felt that was something we needed to address. He was hired Friday night, the 21st of February. Free agency, and don't forget February's only got 28 days. Free agency starts in earnest on March 10th when the legal tampering period opens. That is not a lot of time for an organization to get their ducks in a row. So I asked, is it going to be like a mad dash getting ready for free agency and making sure you have that collaborative approach and everybody's on the same page? He said he's not worried at all, only having 2 weeks to get it together. And so, obviously that's what you're going to say. He said it's not uncommon for the free agency plan to be coming together right now across the league, not just with, new front offices and new GMs and coaches and all that. So time frame wise, he's good with it. I think he and Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli and the rest of this group is smart enough to get this thing figured out. And it's not as if James Gladstone has not done work on free agency already. He has. And the entire Jaguars front office has already done work on free agency. It's about coming together and having that collaboration and making sure that Liam and James are on the same page with these players. So that's how it's going to roll moving forward. I'm excited for it. Would love to know what y'all think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe, and y'all have a good one.